Still be confused about what the Save America Act is and what it would do. Let me give you a quick explainer. Question number one. Do you have a copy of your birth certificate? Like an original copy of your birth certificate? No? Do you know where to get it? Do you know how long it would take to obtain an original copy? In New York, for instance, you're going to have to go in person after making an appointment to go down and get an original copy of your birth certificate and then pay for it. What about a passport? No? Only an estimated 20% at the low end, which is West Virginia, lowest percentage of people who have a passport, to the high end, about 55% in Illinois have a passport. On average, between 45 and about 50% of Americans have one. If you do not have a passport, you're going to have to make an appointment with a passport office and then get to that appointment and then pay somewhere between maybe $150 or more to get yourself a passport. If you can't afford that, under the Save America Act, you're out of luck. Under the so-called Save America Act, which is really the Save Republicans Power Act because it's designed to make it harder for people who tend not to vote for Republicans to vote, you're going to need to prove that you are a U.S. citizen before you can register to vote, before you can have access to the ballot. And that means you have to have an original birth certificate and or a passport in order to vote. That real ID that you have to go and try to fly and avoid ICE on your way to get on your plane, that's not going to be good enough under the Save America Act. It has to be an original birth certificate or a passport. So what if your name is different today than it was on your birth certificate? Let's say you changed your name from James Donald Bowman to JD Vance. Or if you're a woman who got married or divorced, and so your name has changed over time, you're going to have a problem voting under the Save America Act because your name has to match what's on your birth certificate. And if you've gotten married or divorced or anything's happened that you've changed your name, JD Vance, you're going to have to re-register to vote and prove your identity. Can you do that? How hard will it be to do that? I don't know, but you're going to have to make an appointment to go down to the voter registration office and do that before you can vote. But then let's say you're saying, Joy, you're just being overly dramatic. It can't really be that hard. Let me let you listen to Chip Roy, the Texas congressman who is now running for Attorney General of Texas and who is a main sponsor of the Save America Act in the House, explain how hard it was for one of his own staffers to get an ID validated because they changed their name. Take a listen.
The SAVE Act is obviously critically important. The problem we have is we've got some folks out there that are trying to stir the pot on this allegation that it somehow is a barrier for married women to be able to vote because they've, got to deal with getting IDs with name changes and all those things. Although, frankly, I'm trying not to elevate the issue too much. My chief of staff had to go get a new ID in Virginia. Virginia's adopted the Real ID system. So she had to go through a bunch of hoops. She's going to have to go back to the DMV twice because they want the paperwork for it. That's just part of the issue with how we try to set up the ability to identify people. But there's no barriers at all to married women being able to vote.
Oh, but wait, there's more. There's always more. In addition to making it really expensive to prove your citizenship in order to vote, the Save America Act would also require your state to send all of its voter rolls to the Department of Homeland Security. Yes, the same Department of Homeland Security, most recently run by Kristi Noem, and which is now going to be run by Mark Wayne, try to beat up a Teamster Mullen.
This is a time, this is a place. You want to run your mouth? We can be two consenting adults. We can finish it here.
Okay, that's fine. Perfect.
You want to do it now?
I'd love to do it right now.
Well, stand your butt up then.
You stand your butt up.
Oh, hold it. Stop it.
Yes, they have to send all the voter rolls to the federal government, and you're supposed to trust the same agencies that have been beating people up and killing them in the street to decide if you are a valid voter. That would also happen under the so-called Save America Act. And not for nothing, who do you think gets to determine if you can get a passport? That would be the same Trump regime that doesn't want you to vote. It will be up to them whether they're going to issue you that passport that you're going to pay like $150 for. Oh, and last but not least, you should know that voting in U.S. elections by non-citizens is already illegal. Like, it's a literal federal crime. And even organizations who have dedicated their time to trying to find this mysterious voter fraud have been unable to find any. The Heritage Foundation, you know, the people who wrote Project 2025, they keep an actual database to try to find massive voter fraud by non-citizen voters. And you know how many they found going back to the 1980s? Like the 1980s, when I was in like junior high and high school? 68. 68 cases out of the millions and millions and millions of ballots that were cast. You know what the percentage is? Let me look it up. 0.0001% of the ballots cast since the 1980s were cast by non-citizens. In fact, the vast majority of voter fraud is committed by American citizens. Yes, U.S. citizens. Many of them Republicans who vote multiple times for Donald Trump. Yes, the most high-profile cases of voter fraud that we found in the last several cycles have been Republicans voting more than once or in different states for Donald J. Trump. So voter fraud, if it exists at all, it's probably the same people trying to pass the law to make it harder for folks to vote them out. Just saying. The so-called Save America Act is a whole scam. It's a whole ass scam to try to get the voter rolls in your state sent to the Department of Homeland Security so Donald Trump and friends can rinse them of anyone they think might vote a Republican out. That's the scam. Do not fall for it. This is the Save Republicans Jobs Act, and we ain't falling for it. Thank you for your attention to this matter.